Okay, thank you, Javita. Hi, everybody. Glad you are with us. We'll give it here just a moment to let everybody join today's webinar. We have a tremendous number of folks who've registered for today. I'm really excited for that. I'm glad you're with us. You are in the right spot for our kickoff webinar on the Community Action 60th Anniversary Toolkit, Tools and Resources. We'll get started here in just a moment as the Zoom numbers continue to increase. Again, thank you very much, everybody, for being here. We really appreciate that you are here. In the chat window, please feel free to say hello to your colleagues. Let us know where you're from, all that kind of good stuff. We'd love to hear where you're logging in from across the country. So good. Our California is the first one in. Excellent. Oregon, West Coast is in the house. Louisiana, beautiful. All right, New York State, North Iowa, Colorado, New Jersey, Arizona, Kansas. It's like a Miss America pageant, right? Everybody's from everywhere. Oregon, North Dakota, beautiful. Holland, Michigan, no tulips this kind of time of year. Nebraska, excellent. Thank you so much. Ooh, Maine, we got coast to coast. Excellent. Thank you so much, everybody, for being with us. We are recording today's webinar, so if you missed something, please know that you'll have a chance to go back and grab it on the recording. We'll also make sure to share the slide deck out with folks as well, and this will all be posted up on our website, and we'll be sending it out through our e-newsletter as well. So we are so excited for today. I am joined by Jeannie Chaffin, who's acting as a senior advisor to the National Community Action Partnership and has been a real help and guide on our 60th anniversary elevation. And Johnny Daly from our comms communication department. You may know Johnny from his Community Action Month expertise, our e-newsletters, and all that good stuff that everyone is accessing and using on a regular basis. Between the three of us, we're going to walk you through the 60th anniversary tools and resources. We're actually releasing our Community Action Month toolkit in addition to our 60th anniversary toolkit now as well. How exciting is that? So everyone can get all of your ducks in a row. And we'll talk about some of the next steps. And in the chat today, if something crosses your mind, if you have questions, we have team members behind the scenes who are watching the chat to see if you have questions or comments or concerns. Since there are so many of us, you are muted, but we would love to answer your questions if you have them, or if you have additional ideas that you'd like the Partnership Board of Directors and staff to consider. We'd love to see that. So let's go ahead and jump in. As I mentioned, today we are releasing two different toolkits. You're able to pick and choose from between the two toolkits, figuring out which piece is going to work for you in the right moment in time. First, we're going to talk about the Community Action 60th Anniversary Toolkit. And I know you've already seen the logo because you've already logged on here today, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But it's going to be chock full of ideas, calendaring of events, sample posts, sample proclamation. There's a whole bunch of different things specifically in this in the 60th anniversary toolkit that we want to walk through. And then we're going to talk also about the Community Action Month toolkit. We thought it was important to design both of these elements side by side because some of you know the Community Action Month toolkit very, very well. You're used to grabbing a lot of those tools and resources. So we wanted to model some of that on the 60th, but we wanted to make sure our CAM toolkit also reflected the 60th anniversary content as well. So you'll see both of those pieces. And thank you, Jovita has put them into the chat. Both those websites are live, so you can go and access them, download stuff, grab content, whatever you want to do. It is yours to beg, borrow, steal from, tweak. As you know, we don't have any real rules around the use of the Huggy Heart or now the 60th anniversary logo. There's a lot of different ways you can navigate the coming year. So the goals of the 60th anniversary, and these are spelled out in the toolkit. And in the toolkit, right, you'll have the letter from me thanking everybody for participating and all of that good stuff. We'll talk about some of the activities, the options, the committee, that sort of thing. But the goals of the anniversary commemoration, and let me just pause there, right? We're using the words commemoration and or anniversary. During the 50th anniversary, right, there was also the conversation, are we celebrating or are we commemorating? And here at the partnerships office, we are using the word commemorate, right? We're recognizing this moment in time. We want to recognize and commemorate all of the wonderful work that the Community Action Network has done. We want to commemorate all the families that have leaned in and use the services of community action and have experienced the spirit of hope and that community action provides in local communities to help navigate systems toward economic mobility. So these are our goals for the coming year. And I should also pause and say, we recognize too that many local agencies, 2024 is not your specific 60th anniversary. For some of you, it will be, right? After the signing of the Economic Opportunity Act, there was a blossoming of community action agencies all over this country. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But your specific anniversary might be in 2025, 26, 27. It could even be as late as, 44, 45, right? We just don't know because each individual agency kind of has a different origination point. So we've stayed away from 2024. But hopefully these tools and resources are available for you to use. So let me pivot back to the goals. We're hoping to help strengthen the network's capacity, and that means local agencies, state associations, state CSBG offices, the Federal Office of Community Services, all of the national partners. These tools and resources are for everyone. We hope that the network's capacity to effectively advance social and economic mobility, right? SEM, social and economic mobility, is a frame that you'll hear us keep coming back to as well. For all people in America and propel community action into a new era responsive to the future challenges and opportunities. Community action, you have always pivoted, you've always risen to the moment, and today is no different. So what can we do to leverage this moment going forward? Number 2, raise awareness. I know the number one question I get is how come more people don't know about community action? Right? We all got different names, different logos. We got all these different things going on. We're hopeful that the 60th anniversary, by having some branding that can go along with it, can unite us all together to raise awareness of our role and national impact. That we touch the lives of, 13, 14, 15 million people a year on the shy side, probably, that we leverage 14, 15, 16 billion dollars on the shy side, probably, of resources in this country. We should have more visibility. Let's hope this moment helps us do that. We want to help create safe spaces for local agencies and communities to dialogue about community action's role and vision for a more equitable society. We're going to talk about some of the tools and resources in the toolkit to help you have conversations at the board table, at your staff table, in community forums, with your partner organizations. We want to be able to help facilitate a sense of belonging and bridging. Community action is truly a bridge in challenging times to ensure that communication happens across communities and that we embrace the entire community. And fourth, we're looking to ignite that passion and commitment both amongst new staff as well as seasoned professionals. 30 years ago, come April, I got to walk in the front door of a community action agency as a frontline worker. And to be here at the 60th anniversary is such a blessing. We know that we're striving. We're going to have so many new CCAPs this year. We're going to have agencies who are leaning into our excellence program. And we're hoping that during the 60th anniversary year, you find ways to re-energize, to lean in, to be a part of the good vibe that community action brings to communities, and that you are ready to tackle whatever comes down the road next. So a special shout out to the advisory committee. So the board of directors here at the partnership, we know are local community action agency folks, right? They asked us to have an advisory committee that goes deeper into communities, deeper, right? So we've had local agencies and state associations join us in this conversation. And you can see the folks on screen, but thank you, Betsy, Katrina, Catherine, Christina, Jeff, Michelle, Tamika, Jackie, Anthony, Valerie, Amanda, Marcy, and Delitzo. All of you have been fantastic to work with, and we will continue to ask this committee to meet because we know this is going to be an ongoing process as we meet the challenges of the 60th year. So first off is the logo, right? The logo. My first community action business card has the pinwheel, as I tend to call it, the pinwheel, the swirl, whatever you want to call that. I know many of you still have that pinwheel as part of your logo. In the year 2000 and 2001, the partnership, there was a rebranding initiative and we brought the Huggy Heart to the table. Well, I hope that you see in the 60th anniversary is an honoring of both of those types of branding devices into something that we hope all agencies are able to use. Even if you don't use either the Huggy Heart or the pinwheel, I hope that your agency will show and post this logo on your website, on your newsletters, at your board meeting agendas. There are so many different places to use this, and I'm already seeing it pop up all over the country, which is so exciting. So before I turn it over to Jeannie, I'm going to take a breath and pause and look to see if there are any comments or questions in the chat. Has anything popped up yet? I don't see anything quite yet. All right. And I see hello from Schenectady, and that was my CAP agency 30 years ago, the Schenectady Community Action Program. So a little special huggy heart to you. Glad you're here. All right, I'm going to turn the ball over to Jeannie. Jeannie, you want to talk a little bit about some of the contents of the toolkit?
Thanks, Denise. And I'll just, since you're doing a nod to New York, I'll do a nod to Missouri. My community action career started over 30 years ago in Springfield, Missouri at Ozarks Area Community Action Corporation. And I remember celebrating other anniversaries there and at the state of Missouri office, and then had the distinct pleasure of working with you and folks at HHS to celebrate the 50th anniversary when I was at the Office of Community Services. And, we have a long history in community action of kind of marking these milestones in really purposeful, intentional ways. And we're going to do that in 2024 as a network. And you can kind of see there on the screen a timeline that's calling out that there's going to be some great moments. One is just coming up in a few weeks. The anniversary of LBJ's State of the Union speech, where he declared an unconditional war on poverty, was on January 8th. So that will be a great time for folks to start posting on social media and having some recognition of where we've been and hopefully where we're going. And there'll be some wonderful opportunities all throughout 2024, as you mentioned, Denise, for folks to really reflect and think about the future. We are, as you said, going to release the Community Action Month Toolkit, and May will be a great opportunity for folks to kind of integrate and cross-pollinate 60th anniversary activities and Community Action Month. And then, of course, everyone will be looking forward to the conference. So kind of some highlights there, timelines, and let's talk a little bit more about the toolkit and what's in there and how we are going to encourage folks maybe to pick different pieces of this up and use them in the course of the next couple months and throughout 2024. So the toolkit's going to look a lot like the Community Action Month toolkit. There's going to be social media examples in there. There's a proclamation. You may want to do the proclamation stand alone as a 60th anniversary proclamation, or maybe you'll want to do that as part of Community Action Month. And so there's a couple of different examples in there. The toolkit has some extensive background on talking points for how do we lift up the unique attributes of community action during this time? How do we maximize this 60th anniversary to achieve our kind of national goals, your state goals, and your agency goals, and how can you weave in messages about community action into all that? So there's a lot of messaging information in there. following along in the success of the Huggy Heart coloring page, there's a 60th anniversary coloring page in the toolkit. So there's going to be lots of different ways you can use these tools and resources. And then one of the big takeaways we want you to know today is we're going to keep adding to them. So there's a landing page for the 60th anniversary, just like for the Community Action Month. And we'll keep putting tools and resources. We're going to really be trying to curate and crowdsource the best of what you guys are doing, and we'll share more on the landing page as we move through the next couple of weeks and months. So let's look at the next slide. The steering advisory committee that Denise introduced earlier said, let's, come up with a starter pack of lists, maybe 60 activities for the 60th anniversary that folks can look through and select the ones that really resonate. And so we actually, in this little tool that's in the toolkit, we have 60 plus activities for the 60th anniversary. And we've kind of curated those into a couple of different groups: media activities, community engagement activities, and then internal agency and staff activities. And we also have kind of structured this list to help you think about what kind of goals or outcomes or results you might be able to achieve with these different activities, whether it's increasing awareness, increasing fund development, changing the narrative, or working on recruitment, retention, and satisfaction of board, staff, or volunteers. So this list, you can kind of go through and think about what will work for your agency. And we are really going to encourage folks to be intentional about that, right? And really think strategically. And to help you do that, we have another little tool in the toolkit, and we've sort of are highlighting it on the next slide. There's a planning guide that's a fillable PDF form that you can take, and maybe a few people at your organization can gather together, people from up and down the organization, and think a little bit about, okay, what are our goals at our agency that we've either set in our strategic plan or as part of pursuing pathways? What are our goals, and how might those fit in with what we want to do for the 60th anniversary? So this little planning tool will help you think through that and set some goals. And then, every agency is different, right? You have different capacity, different things you're trying to achieve. And we really are encouraging you to, create some light lift kinds of activities, right? Like adding the logo to your website, um, things that might be easy, adding your logo to your newsletter and that kind of thing. And then things that are maybe a little bit of a heavier lift, like maybe you'll have a news article that you'll kind of push out to newspapers that highlights the history of your agency. And then, you might really take some opportunity to think very strategically and have some discussions. Denise mentioned social and economic mobility and thinking about the future, and maybe you'll even want to do some discussions. So this planning guide can kind of help you think about, what are the different kinds of things we want to do? How do they help build on our goals and advance our goals, but also use our time and treasure wisely, right? So we hope that planning guide is useful for you. We're going to
Jeannie,
crowdsource. Yes.
I was just going to add, I think something to call out of what you said is that the list contains easy lifts and more substantial lifts, right? So if what your agency is able to do right now is use a logo in some way, shape, or form, that's fantastic. If you're able to host a community conversation about poverty in your community, that's also great, right? So it's just going to depend on your individual organization. And the toolkit hopefully has a range of things that will meet your agency and your community where you're at.
Definitely.
And I
Thanks.
see the question about the guides, including the Pantone colors and font use for the 60th. We have had a little conversation about that. We know in our style guide that we have up on our website for just general community action branding, we do include the Pantone colors as well as the fonts. I think that is a great suggestion that we should also do here. We'll make sure to grab those and include them, or at least get to the, because you know how sometimes designers are, we'll get as close as we can to that Pantone color, right? So we'll post that. Thank you. And I see a special shout out to the navy Pantone color. So thank you for that. Great. Sorry, Jeannie, go ahead.
No, no, those are all great. Good time to stop and have some questions because like the wisdom of community action is oftentimes our greatest strength. And so we've already heard about great ideas that agencies have about how they're going to commemorate the 60th anniversary, how they're going to work with staff or work with their community, embed this in other things that they're already doing. So we're going to have some opportunities, some technology, Google Forms, and different things, SurveyMonkey that we want to use to ask you to share, your good ideas, and then some opportunity for folks to see that in real time, so they can see as they're planning, as you join with your colleagues and maybe work on that planning guide and do some strategic thinking about this. You can see in real time what other people are doing. So we'll be sharing those links out with folks as we move forward. And the next slide just shows a little example of the Google form. There, a form to sort of, you can go in real time and note what you're doing, and then go to another form and see what everybody's doing live. So I think we'll test that out. We've not done it before. We'll kind of see how it works, but hopefully it'll be a good source for folks, and will allow the wisdom of the hive, of the community action hive, to come through. So we're excited about that. Okay. Um, and then just sort of again, we'll share that out. There'll be an opportunity as we move forward and folks really get things underway, for you to begin to share, if you do a special 60th anniversary report, or you have an event and you have some pictures that you want to share with the network, we're going to have a place for you to upload that kind of stuff. And then we'll make that available back out to the groups to lift it up on social media. I think one of the things that we call out in the guide is that we want you to take this resource and make it your own and do things at the local level, but we also want to lift it up, right, and use this opportunity to create awareness at the national level and maybe in some new places, right? So if we can ask you to share that with us, I think that'll be helpful at the national, state, and local level. Okay, and then we just wanted to flag, you probably have seen this in the e-news, this exciting 60th anniversary poster contest. Prizes are available. There's two categories, a historic category and a future category, and we're really encouraging people to submit their art for the poster. If you've been around a while, you know that we kind of have a legacy of having different posters and community action for different kinds of things. The deadline is January 25th, January 10th. The website, the landing page includes the guidelines and the entry form. If you haven't promoted this, or with your staff or board or volunteers or your colleagues, please do. We'd love to have a lot of great submissions to choose from. And with that, I'll kind of hand it back to you, Denise, and really excited about this next year and all the things that folks will be doing. We know you're going to do some great things and achieve some really great goals. So let's go, right?
Let's go is exactly right. And some of you probably have some of those historical posters hanging in your viewpoint right now that you can actually see them in your office. I know we have several floating around our office, and right? Put your art. I mean, that's not my skill set, right? So I love to see how people's creative talents can be put to good use. And for the 50th, I remember in Minnesota, for instance, there was a poster done at the state association level, and I have that hanging in my office. And I just think there's such creativity in different parts of the world, and that we can't even begin to predict where that will take us. So please, please, please send some stuff in. I also see Quentin's comment. Yeah, Canva, fantastic, right? So I love to get in and play with Canva. Unfortunately, I don't get to do it very often, so I lose my skills every time I learn something new. But 100% agree that is a fantastic tool and resource. Excellent. And I know that our next speaker uses Canva quite a bit in his work as well, which hopefully makes it easily translatable out to local agencies. So um, oh, what's the difference between historic and future submission category? Great question. So a lot of our posters, for instance, the one that I referenced from Minnesota last time around, which I love, it's the picture of President Johnson, right? And it talks about the 50 years of work. And that's more historical, looking back toward Johnson, and our historical foundational elements. Future might mean I have another poster in my office from the New York State Community Action Association that has a path that goes into the future with trees and sun and all these different colors. It's very bright and vibrant, right? So some folks really like to be grounded in our history, and we all should be, right? But that's sometimes where that's a really good place to designate an anniversary. But community action is nothing about hope and opportunity in the future, too. So we thought it was important to kind of look both directions and recognize that we may want to elevate posters and long time commemoration, because those are the things that are hanging in your office 30 years from now. Those of you who'll be celebrating the 90th anniversary of community action will have hanging in your office. So hopefully that answers the question, and feel free to email me if you have any questions. So Johnny Udaley is on our team, is our communications lead. And those of you who get all of our e-newsletters, right? Johnny is responsible for at least 2 or 3 of those a week, I think. So he has a lot on his plate. The Community Action Month Toolkit's kind of been his baby over the years. The tools and resources, Johnny, you just do a fantastic job for us. And thanks so much for being so willing to get the Community Action Month Toolkit up and out early. I know people appreciate it. You want to walk us through some of the core elements in that toolkit?
Sure. Thanks, Denise. So Community Action Month is coming. Well, it's still a ways away, but with it being our 60th anniversary in 2024, we wanted to get this resource to you early so you can start making plans to help commemorate this important milestone during Community Action Month and throughout the year as well. As we all know, Community Action Month is a time for us to celebrate the impact of our network. So it only makes sense that we find as many ways as we can to tie our 60-year legacy into our Community Action Month events and activities. And portions of this toolkit were developed specifically with that goal in mind. Next slide, please. So let me just briefly review a few general points about the toolkit for anyone who maybe hasn't used the toolkit before. It's produced to help agencies promote their important work as well as raise the visibility of the network at large during the month of May. It's pretty abundant. It has pages and pages of social media graphics and messaging, press release and government proclamation templates, fundraising ideas, video production tips, and event and activity information to help provide guidance to agencies looking to engage in the month's festivities. The toolkit and all of its related resources are available on the landing page, which I've hyperlinked in the slide. Next slide, please. As always, there are a bunch of activities planned. I'll just briefly mention, for instance, on the first day of the month, agencies will gather staff together and recite the promise of community action on social media. We also have Huggy Heart Day, which falls on May 3rd this year, when agencies have their Head Start kids participate in a Color the Huggy Heart activity. On Impact Wednesday, agencies promote their local outcomes and successes on social media. And the toolkit has both ready-to-post graphics and messages, as well as customizable graphics to assist. Of course, you see lots of people going to social media to post selfies with the selfie sign. But the thing I'd like to draw your attention to is that on the first and last day of the month, we're encouraging everyone to help commemorate Community Action's 60th anniversary. And in just a second, I'll show you some of the resources we've developed to help you do just that. Next slide, please. So let me first just show you the calendar we've provided. This is one of the most important resources in the toolkit. You can find it on page 10. It's also hyperlinked in the slide. And it lists all the things I just mentioned, along with a lot more. It provides daily themes, events, and activities to participate in throughout the month of May. And it also shows on which days we have those ready to go, plug and play social media resources that everyone loves. So you can just copy paste directly into your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. As you can see, there's some kind of event, activity, or theme for every day in May. So there's always some opportunity to engage. And as I mentioned, on the 1st and 31st, we're commemorating 6 years of community action. So let's go ahead and jump into the resources we have to help participate in Community Action's 60th anniversary campaign. The first thing I'll mention is this really nice looking logo we've developed. Using the logo is one of the easiest ways to engage, whether it's on social media, you include it in your print materials, post it to your website, place it in your email footer. There's lots of ways that you can put it to use. As I mentioned, on the 1st and 31st, folks will take to social media to participate in the campaign. We have 2 hashtags we encourage everyone to use to help stay engaged and connect to what others are doing and saying around the network. Those hashtags are Community Action 60 and 60 Years Strong. And I know we'll be using them as much as we can to enrich the conversation and elevate the visibility of what we're doing. Next slide, please. And of course, we have some social media graphics for folks to share. You can find them in the 60th anniversary campaign section on page 38, as well as the social media graphics section on page 26. We have messaging as well. Now it's great to share an original message if the inspiration strikes, but we have a bunch of sample messages that you can copy and paste or use for inspiration and coming up with your own. Again, you can find those in the 60th anniversary section on page 38, as well as a sample social media post section, which starts on page 15. And what you'll find is we have messages that cover the national impact of our network, touching on the major programs and services that many of our agencies offer all across the country. But we also have messages that focus on local impact, which share agency and customer success stories, and then tie those local successes to being part of a larger effort nationwide that's been at it for 60 years and counting. We've also provided a high production 60-second commercial that was produced for us last March by Viewpoint. Sharing this video is a really great way to raise awareness about community action and the vital work that we do in our communities. Next slide, please. Along with the social media resources, we've also included sample proclamation templates. In fact, we've provided 3 proclamation templates. We have sort of our standard Community Action Month proclamation, and then we have a proclamation for the 60th anniversary of the network. And then last, we have a Community Action Month proclamation template, but that gives recognition to the 60-year legacy of the network. So whatever kind of framing suits your needs, that's up to you, of course, but we've tried to help provide templates that hit on every kind of focus. Next slide, please. Now, earlier I mentioned the Huggy Heart coloring page. Well, we've produced a variation on that activity with the 60th anniversary coloring page. Year in and year out, Community Action, Head Start, and Early Head Start students seem to have a really great time with these. So now we've got a little bonus coloring activity that you can share with your kids. So that about covers it for the anniversary specific resources. But since we're on the topic of the Community Action Month Toolkit, I just wanted to briefly mention a couple other exciting pieces. So in addition to the graphics I showed you earlier, we have a ton of graphics developed, almost all of which are new. Again, these are on page 26. You can see some of them here in the slide. This is nowhere near the full haul of graphics, but you see there's the promise of community action, National Teacher Day, graphics honoring Sergeant Shriver and LBJ, graphics for holidays like International Day of Families. Next slide, please. And the vast majority of these are now available in Spanish. Next slide. The toolkit has a link to download them as a zip folder, or you can download them directly from this slide. I've also provided the link to a little project I've put together, which is this graphic storage bank. As best as I can, I've tried to compile every social media graphic we've produced basically since I joined NCAP as a full-time staff member in 2019. And they're organized into Dropbox folders. So if there's ever a graphic that you need, but you're not sure where to find it or if it might exist, come here to the storage bank and take a look. You're welcome to make use of anything in there.
And how many years would that be, Johnny, that you would have all those social media graphics from?
So I guess that's the last 4 or 5 years since
Yeah,
2019 since I've been here. So yeah,
that's
a little while.
amazing. Thank you for doing that.
Sure. Um, Next slide. Yep. Okay. So just a couple more quick points here. One thing we're excited about is our brand new collection of Impact Wednesday graphics and messaging. These cover a wide range of programs and services with 5 graphics and 5 sample messages in total. They cover affordable housing, asset building, job support, family services, and health and wellness. Next slide, please. We also have a customizable graphic. It's really quick and easy to customize, and it's a great opportunity to highlight the impact of your agency and using it to share your local outcomes, data, and success stories. And we'll be celebrating Impact Wednesday twice on May 8th and 29th, so you have plenty of opportunity to make use of these. Next slide, please. And for a wide majority of the graphics, we have sample messages. So please take a look at the sample messaging section starting on page 15. We update these every year as much as we can. So much of the messaging is new. It's a great resource for when you're busy and you just want to copy and paste something, or if you're trying to come up with something of your own, but you need a little inspiration to get there. So feel free to customize our messages however best suits your needs. Next slide, please. And so as folks are working the new 60th anniversary logo into their communications materials, I just wanted to quickly draw attention to our branding section of the toolkit. We often get asked about color codes or get questions about fonts, taglines, and so forth. The branding section of the CAM toolkit includes guidance on all these things. It provides sample messaging, our style guide, as well as a Dropbox folder with logos, Huggy Hearts, fonts, and other design elements. It also includes ideas on how you might incorporate these national branding elements into your materials. The section starts on page 56. I've also linked this style guide as well as a folder with our branding elements in the slide here. And of course, I'm always available for questions and assistance. Feel free to reach out to me at the address linked in the slide. And with that, I'll pass it back to Denise and Jeannie.
Thank you so much, Johnny. Really appreciate all of the great work, creativity, and just the amass of content, because not one thing will resonate with everybody. So hopefully we've given folks enough of a menu to choose from. So I think those are really robust resources. So thank you for that. A few other things to flag for folks is you may see a number of us wearing our 60th anniversary pins. So we will be looking to seek orders for these. We should have some at our winter conference and our summer conference. We'll also be having a merch store with a select number of items for the 60th anniversary. That is coming. So keep an eye out for that. But we can provide you high-res logos. It's much easier probably even at local agencies. Everyone wants the same t-shirt, the same 3/4 zip, or the fleece. We can provide all that to you so you can order on site, make it your own design, but we will have some swag that will be available for everybody. One of the first items on the calendar, I'm going to turn it back over here to Jeannie for a moment to talk a bit more about the calendar that's within the 60th anniversary toolkit, but we will be doing kind of a monthly webinar series that will highlight different things. Some months it may be, hey, let's just touch base on how the 60th anniversary is progressing. Another time might be, let's feature this author who has a book about poverty. Let's talk about it in this moment. So look for that over the next year. We'll have something special every month focused on the 60th. And again, we'll be commemorating it at our winter conference in February in Las Vegas, as well as in the summer in August in Seattle. So Jeannie, what would you add about the timeline that's in the toolkit?
Yeah, I wanted to just flag for folks that they can register for a January 9th National Partners Kickoff. So on that day, we'll have folks from NCAP, NASCAS, CAP and everybody will share a little bit of what they're, all the national partners will share a little bit of what they're planning for the 60th. And so you can kind of see that on the timeline on January 9th. And I believe Denise Waits posted the link to register for that webinar in the chat. So you can go back up the chat and find that webinar registration. So that's important. And then also on January 17th, the partnership has kind of always and historically done a Martin Luther King Jr. Day commemoration celebration. And, we will definitely be doing that. And there'll be 60th anniversary connections to that event. So I think it's really important that folks pencil in that date and watch for that registration also. And then, of course, the Management Leadership and Training Conference is coming up in February. The general sessions will have a nod and speak to the 60th anniversary as well as some workshops. So we're going to start gearing up, right? Really early in 2024. So pay attention to all of these early activities as well as, the birthday on August 20th, right, of the Economic Opportunity Act. And it's gonna be a fun time. It's important to have fun.
Yes.
We've all kind of been through some tough things over the last couple years, and so the 60th will allow us an opportunity to reflect on the future, but also to nurture our movement a little bit, right? We have a lot of new people in the movement, and this is a great opportunity to bring them in and help make sure that they feel a part of the movement. So thanks a lot, Denise. Appreciate that last opportunity.
Yep. And you mentioned some of the national partners as well, right? That January 9th webinar, encourage you to register. You'll get to hear directly from David Bradley, from Allison Maloof and Cheryl Williams and myself about what this anniversary year means to us. And that I know David will be doing something at his conference as well in March. I hope that folks will attend and participate in NCAP's conference. I also know NASCA's conference is that same week if you're a state office. I know that'll be a time and place for commemoration. Exactly. I mean, as well as will Capwa, who's doing their conference, I believe, in LA this year. So a lot on the West Coast. But we are here if we can ever be helpful. Just trying to see if there's any other questions in the chat. I don't see any, but please send us what you're doing. Send us links to videos, or if you're featured on the news or you're going to be on the Sunday morning local talk show. Send us a clip. Let us know. We'd love to share it in our newsletters. We'd love to share it with your peers and colleagues to give them ideas. If you have a fun swag item, love to see that too. So, if there's anything else, please don't hesitate to ask. You can email me, dharlow@communityactionpartnership.com. And I think all my contact information was on the very last slide. We're just going to go back to that slide. Whoops, no, we're not. So just going to stop sharing here for a moment. I hope that you will enjoy this year. I hope that you found that we have provided you some tools and resources that you can use. As I mentioned, the logo is available you can use it in any sort of color format. You're not going to hurt our feelings if you use it all in purple or something like that, if those are your agency colors. Looking at you, Wayne Metro, Community Action in Detroit. So the site of our 2025 conference. And that coloring page, yeah, I get it that it's Head Start, early Head Start kids, and I see a lot of pictures that get colored every year, but I also see a lot of staff pictures. It's of adults who have taken time for that stress release. So we hope and look forward to seeing some of those quilts of Huggy Hearts and 60th anniversary logos. Looking great. May is not the only time, but we know people gear up toward May, so we thought it was important to do both at the same time. This PowerPoint, yes, will be made available. We'll send it out to everybody who registered for today. And we'll send out all the links to all the great places. And if you can't find something, email us, because we know that websites can be challenging at times with so much content on them. Jeannie and Johnny, anything else that you'd like to add? All right, we're good shape. Good shape. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for being Community Action 60 years strong. You got it. We got it. You rock. So thank you, Community Action. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.